Step up to craft beer. Taino Light Lager has a crisp, refreshing Caribbean-style flavor. Boricua Craft Ale, full-bodied flavor for the true beer drinker. Stop drinking beer water. Taino Craft Light Lager and Boricua Strong Craft Ale. Feel the rhythm and come up to craft beer.
We made it to Aguadilla in the western part of Puerto Rico, and there are people who are without food, are without water. The mayor says hurricane. I said to him, what did Maria do to Aguadilla? And he said, what didn't Maria do? We saw this water truck in the area where FEMA has set up in the military, and people have been in line to get water all day long. And it looks as though one of the officers is waving people off. They may have just run out of water. Yeah, it appears so. Talked to one woman who said she has had trouble finding gas, trouble finding food. This is where people have been coming. They've been bringing one, maybe 2 jugs of water. So one adult gets two jugs of water for the entire day. The good news is the trucks are usually here from 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon, but they send them home at 4 o'clock because there's the curfew and they don't want people out after dark.
Hi, I'm here to invite you to come to Mirror Lake Baptist Church. We are at 2017 Regular Road in Land O'Lakes, Florida. And we want you to come and help the people in Puerto Rico. We are doing a Puerto Rico relief donations this week and this week only. We will be open 9 to 12 and from 6 to 8. The address is 2017 Regular Road in Land O'Lakes, Florida. We're helping our brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico, and we hope to see you. Take care.
I am for the child who's had 7 addresses in a single year because she's in foster care, because her father abused her. And her mother couldn't believe her. She is the child I am for. I am a volunteer child advocate. I am you.
Florida residents call toll-free 866-341-1425.
Hi, this is Danny Ramos from Hispanic Speak Out TV, brought to you on Spectrum Cable every week, 9:30 p.m. We've been on the air for 15 years. And tonight we're in Tampa, and we are interviewing Angie Jannar, who's at the Myrtle Lake Baptist Church, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and we're going to be talking about what's going on in Puerto Rico, and Angie's been very, very involved in communicating with Puerto Rico and bringing needed materials, medical services, medical equipment to Puerto Rico. Angie, what is going on? Tell us what's going on. From just let it roll.
So what's going on? There was a hurricane named Maria who went through the island of Puerto Rico, through Humacao, and exited the other side of the island and affected 3.5 million Puerto Ricans, Americans, who are right now in desperate need for medical necessities as well as water supply, and the bare needs to be able to go ahead and move forward and make themselves a strong island again.
Well, there's going to be major ramifications of what's going on. We're going through several processes, but there's also things that people aren't talking about. Right now, they're talking about possibly martial law, okay, because they have curfews at night. Tell us about what you know that you've gotten back on that.
So far, people are very limited due to the fact that they have to stand on long lines to wait for the supplies. And then I've been able to see and speak to several of my family members that when the curfew comes up, then the curfew comes up. So they have to shut down the water supplies or the food supplies and pretty much send them home empty-handed. So there are municipalities that are getting only 4 bottles of water.
So you're saying is there actual possible starvation going on in the inner parts of the island? Because we're saying there's only 4 bottles of water. How are people surviving? A group of people surviving on 4 bottles of water?
That is exactly the centerpiece of what's going on. There are people starving in Puerto Rico right now. There are people suffering in Puerto Rico right now, while you have the main island, which we call the main United States of America, full of resources, and then you have a U.S. territory like Puerto Rico starving. And that is very, at least for my generation, and I'm sure for yours, is mind-blowing.
What about the situation with the conflict of the attitude towards the U.S. military going in to maintain order when the curfews go on? There is a conflict, a psychological conflict, whether the military should go in or not. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, currently our political situation, because we're a Commonwealth, we also have three main parties in Puerto Rico that conflict with one another into the ideology of what Puerto Rico should be. The reality is that a situation like this, a disaster like this, brings us back to the drawing board and says, okay, yes, our current situation is what it is versus what we can imagine and wish for the island, how we can compromise both of them so we can go ahead and move forward and actually get our hands onto what really needs to be happening right now, which is the reconstruction of the island. We can be very passionate about our opinions and how we feel about all these different aspects and ideas of what we think about Puerto Rico or what Puerto Rico should be, the military in the island, what the military has done in the past, or what the military can do in the future. What we need to consider is those are great, fantastic conversations that need to be happening in our communities, but right now we need to focus. It's like having a baby.
So are you saying So you're saying the three political parties are manipulating this particular circumstance in order to get their individual agendas forward?
There is some of that, and there is also the other groups. Like, for example, you have the conversation of the truckers, the camioneros, and they're wanting to control the petroleum, the gas that is coming into the island so they can be themselves the one distributing how they think it should be fit, versus the new progressive party in Puerto Rico, who is right now the current party that is in power, saying, no, we want to do it a different way. We want to do it through the wife of the governor, Beatriz
Well, the wife of the
Rosselló.
governor would have a more umbrella look at what's going on, where the truckers are truckers. They don't have any training in disaster relief. They have delivery, go here, drop it off, okay? But they don't know anything about disaster relief, so it doesn't make sense to me that truckers should be determining who should get gasoline where and when.
And that is an example of, like, to answer your question, of a group that has a personal agenda that they want to get across at a time where, as I was mentioning to you, this is like having a baby. It's time to have the baby. It's time to take care of the emergency right now. It's not time to worry about, other legalities in regards to, making sure that the country has what they need. And that's kind of like the pull that the island and the people, not only in Puerto Rico, but also the people here trying to help. How can we help? And that sense of not being able to help because we don't know how, because we don't really have one voice saying, this is how we are going to help.
There's a conflict that we mentioned a minute ago about the U.S. military going to Puerto Rico. Tell me where the conflict is in that.
Well, people want to express their, as I mentioned before, the type of government that we have is a Commonwealth. Having the military in there, people have a hard time seeing the uniform and not understanding that with that uniform, not only are there military U.S. troops in there, but there is also the National Guard there. And those are our people, the same people that 50, 60 years ago went to Bahia de Puercos or, Bay of Pigs, are the same group of National Guards military that today are trying to make sure that the island stay put and stay standing. Yesterday I had the blessing of listening to a documentary about the national anthem, and it was not only listening to the lyrics, but it was also watching clips of what the people there that had that flag standing had to endure. And I think that the Puerto Ricans that are going to that are taking their time to protest or make their voice known, or those small groups in regards to the military and what the military is doing there. They're doing it because they want to stand for something and they see it. But right now, we cannot do that, because right now our goal should be for our island to stand strong, just like the flag stood strong.
So what is if the military is going in, it hasn't gone in yet, or it's going in?
It has already gone in.
What is the purpose of the military in Puerto Rico?
The military right now currently, which is another issue that we can talk in another time, there's not enough troops. He so far has authorized, as of today, 5,000 troops, but we need more. Because as you can tell, it's 100 by 35 island. We need more people.
3 million people, 3.5 million people.
Right, and this is what they do every day. So what is the military going to do over there? The military trains every day for disasters like this. So the military, I was able to see clips of Marines that were sent there already to open the roads. Right now, we need to open the roads, and we're not talking about the Valdoriotti de Castro. We're not talking about the, Teodoro Moscoso. We're talking about breaking through Utuado. We're talking about breaking through the mountains, and it takes a cooperation from both sides, and that's why the bickering is affecting our logistics, because we're spending more time arguing rather than doing, and it's time to do right now. We can argue later.
All right, we got a lot of different factions. All the factions want their stake in it, or have a political agenda or a financial agenda, which may be the case with the truckers. Where is the center point in all of this? Where is the common denominator, the way you see it, to organize this and put an umbrella over it?
Well, I think that I include myself, we need to remember that under all, we all have blood running through our veins. We're all human beings. We're all, we can all empathize with one another with the pains that the island is going through. So I think that it's time for us to focus, since we have all those emotions running, let's then bring those groups that deal with those aspects, such as the churches. Puerto Rico is well known for their religious beliefs. They're an island that belongs to God. That's how they see themselves as. Of course, you have all different denominations, but one thing you do have in common in the island is that you have centers, you have churches that can be hubs to receive this help, because who best knows those communities it's the churches that are hand in hand working with the people. They know where so-and-so is at. They know the families. They know they've been connected. Like, for example, my family, part of my family, my mother's side of the family, they're from Adjuntas. I know the pastor of the church at the plaza. Where do you go to hang out in Puerto Rico when you want to visit Puerto Rico and enjoy yourself? You go to the plaza. And people know each other there. When you have a funeral and you have 200 people showing up at your funeral in Puerto Rico, it's because you are part of the town. The people know you. So what a best way for our community to rally together around these churches, regardless of our religious belief. We are people. So let's rally around our people. Let's support our people, and let's use the current logistic and the current technology that we have. We're not asking to reinvent the wheel. I think that moving branches out of the way is not called reinventing the wheel. It's just doing what we need to do to move forward, and connecting with those churches might be an excellent idea.
So that's not being done at all right now? Or
Well,
is it being done?
It is currently what
Or is it individual efforts that are contacting each other?
No, it is currently what the governor's wife is trying to do, Beatriz Rosselló. She's trying to, through her secretary, she's trying to organize what she's been calling Oasis, and this has made national news. But it hasn't really resounded much, because of course people see it from a religious perspective. They don't see it from a logistic, very simplistic way of doing it. As they can be hubs for them to receive the supplies that they need, and then for them to provide those supplies to each one of the communities, as well as provide counseling and provide, because a lot of these communities are going to have post-stress traumatic, repercussions from what this is a disaster. This is a humanitarian disaster.
I don't think the major medias in the United States, because you watch CNN, you watch Fox, okay, they dedicate a certain amount of time to this. You know what I mean? And you're not getting the impression from CNN and from Fox and from MSNBC and from all these, what is really, really happening over there. I mean, it's usually conversational with a couple of clips, but if you're talking about people not getting water in the mountains or not getting food because the road goes through the mountains and the mountains are closed, you're talking about severe crisis. You're not talking about what we had here where we're out for 4 days.
Absolutely.
You know, we're talking about the devastation of 3 million people. So this thing is extended itself into other things, that it's morphing. So there's two things that I wanted to ask you. Where is the center distribution point? How does stuff go, material like medical supplies? How does it go from Tampa to, or from wherever it's going, into San Juan? And where does it go in San Juan? And how is it being distributed out?
Currently, there's two ways that items of help are getting to the island. The first way is they're coming through the port of San Juan. They're coming through the port. And then at the port, because we have laws, of course, they have to go through their different processes where they get itemized and all that. Through the Beatriz Rosselló, the items get to the port. The port sends them to the Coliseo Roberto Clemente. In the Coliseo Roberto Clemente, everything is getting right now. Currently, yesterday, I was watching clips on how they were organizing the inside. Of course, Coliseo Roberto Clemente was also a shelter that got damaged during the hurricane.
Let's put this in perspective.
Right.
I've been through Roberto Clemente. Okay, so what do? You sit 12,000 people in there. You know, the capacity I think is 12 or 15,000 people.
Right.
We're talking about 3 million people.
Correct.
So, is that the major effort point?
Currently, they are bringing everything into one point.
And who is they? Who is that when you say
the
they?
Government.
The U.S. government.
The U.S. government. No, the Puerto Rico government.
Okay, so, and there's a lot of people who they're saying they're making their own individual efforts. I spoke to somebody in Kissimmee, Florida. Oh, we're organizing this and we're going to send a plane. Is that plane being sent by individuals or individual organizations, or is it being sent by the government?
No, it's sent by individuals. I was watching another clip where we had an organization that was able to land in Aguadilla.
Good.
And they were able to supply Aguadilla. Okay. But once again, because of the bickering back and forward, it was an individual plane, independent plane, not commercial, not sent to Aguadilla directly. They got what they needed, but I believe it's only gonna give them supplies for 2 weeks.
2 weeks is a long time, because when we had the storm here, the shelves were empty in 2 days. You know, I walked into a supermarket and I went, there's nothing here. So, you know, I'm surprised that it will last that long. All right, let's go to the next situation. So there are other ramifications here, okay? And one of the other ramifications, which is obviously going to be an extension of a tremendously negative situation, is that you're going to get a tremendous exodus from the island of Puerto Rico. I heard that a plane went in from an airline, dropped off supplies, and 200 people flew out of Puerto Rico to go live with families in the United States, in Florida or Chicago or wherever. So we're going to have a mass migration of adults and a lot of kids coming into Florida. So we have to be prepared as a school system to start absorbing all these kids. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I've also been able to watch how they, in Chicago, they are trying to habilitate their communities to receive a huge migration of Puerto Ricans who don't speak English. So that means that they're going to have to habilitate their schools to be able to provide ESOL or ELL teachers that can, go ahead and pick up where the students left off. I mean, if you think about it, the students have been out of school for a month, and it was the beginning of the school year. Here in the state of Florida, Governor Rick Scott has done a fantastic job. He's already been to the island, and I don't know if he's still there, but he was able to assess with the governor the damages and everything, and offer for students transferring from the University of Puerto Rico and other universities that are in the island to be able to transfer to Florida to get tuition fees lowered to what the state tuition is instead of paying out-of-state tuition. In regards to the migration and the people that are actually coming from the island, I joke around. My aunt, we were able to, Tilia, we were able to get her in the Royal Caribbean ship, and it's the first one that left the island with about 3,000 Puerto Ricans on their ship migrating to Miami, and they will be arriving on Tuesday.
So this, okay, so just, they're not going on the ship for vacation. They're going on the ship to move to Florida or, you know, or parts in the United States.
And all she cared about was making sure that she could bring her 2 dogs with her, because she knew that whatever she's bringing with her, most likely is everything she's going to be able to bring with her.
There's certain government offices in Florida that have had welcome offices for people that, newcomers for the state. I'm gonna assume that this is gonna be tremendously overwhelmed. Are churches getting involved as welcoming information mechanisms for these people coming in?
They are trying. We're trying to, as I've shared with you candidly before, there's so many people out there that want to help, and we're having such a hard time rallying together under one umbrella. Here in Tampa, we have partnered with Somebody Cares Tampa Bay. We also have Samaritan Purse helping, and they are in contact right now with the First Lady of Puerto Rico, trying to rally the communities to ensure that we are prepared to receive the exodus of so many Puerto Ricans. We are also trying to do drive-bys or drop-off areas. There is one in South Tampa through Donations for Puerto Rico, and here in Pasco County we have Murder Lake Baptist Church as well as Wesley Chapel Nissan that have been creating a group of community members that are concerned not only about them receiving the help that they need, but also the concerns that you mentioned about what are we going to do when they get here? How are they going to be able to get jobs? How are they going to be able to get housing? Not only do we have a booming housing situation right now in the Tampa Bay area because of Hurricane Irma, because of all the people that lost their homes, but now we have an influx of Puerto Ricans coming in, which we already have communities here in the Florida, Central Florida area. Now we're going to get a bigger group. There's several festivals going on right now. I encourage you to support them at any cost. At this time, it's about helping. It's about creating a conscience that there's American citizens in an island that need our help.
Well, thank you, Angie. I really appreciate the
It was
time.
a pleasure.
We're gonna run some clips, and we're just letting you know that Angie is going to be our correspondent in Tampa. We are now a statewide TV show. Our 3 TV shows will be broadcast statewide every single week on Spectrum Cable. And Angie has agreed to be our Tampa correspondent. She'll be sending news in every week from the Tampa Hispanic community so that we can air it centrally and then send it out throughout the state. Now we're going to see some clips, news clips of what's going on in Puerto Rico.
Getting all the aid you need, or getting it fast enough from the states?
First of all, we're very grateful for the administration. They have responded quickly. The president has been very attentive to the situation, personally calling me several times. FEMA and the FEMA director have been here in Puerto Rico twice. As a matter of fact, they were here with us today, making sure that all the resources in FEMA were working in conjunction with the central government. We've been working together. We've been getting results. Reality is that the administration and the president, every time that we've spoken, I've had an ask, they delivered. President and the administration have done everything that they can, that we've asked them to do, and we've gotten those results.
Marines and sailors with the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit are providing humanitarian support in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. Marines are clearing roadways, setting up communication towers, and converting salt water into fresh drinkable water.
It's just a game. And I say, from experience, let it go.
For us, it's both professional and personal. These are Americans that need support. The guidance from Secretary Mattis has been clear. What they need, they get. Just make it happen. And so what we're doing right now is just making sure that every place that we can uniquely contribute to the disaster in Puerto Rico, we're poised to do that. And we're anticipating what they might need next week, even if they haven't thought about it yet. And our thoughts and prayers with the people in Puerto Rico.
Like that, and you see cop cars or federal cars, people are hesitant to come out. And initially when we did the run yesterday, you could see the hesitation. As they started seeing us taking the cases of water and the cases of food directly to the homes, hugging and saying hi to everybody in the community, they started opening up, and people actually started coming with us and assisting us to give food. So it definitely went from kind of a hesitation to open arms and helping us out. So it was a tremendous opportunity to interact with the community.
I'm just happy to be here, man, and helping and just making it better. You know, I know it will take time. It's not something that we're gonna come out of this like, you know, right away. It's gonna take time, but I can see my people surviving this and continuing on like we have done for many centuries, I guess. Puerto Ricans are strong, and we don't let something like this take us down, not for long.
And most of all, it's DHS working together as a family to help each other, you know, help the people. The Coast Guard, we have our first trip, and they're doing a second trip and then a third trip, and they also said they're going to donate some of their personal items as well. So it's moving, it's touching, and it's needed, and it's great help, and that's what we're here for.